Welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
I'm husband.
And I'm wife.
Together, we're reading the Bible for the very first time.
We grew up without religion and wanted to know what all the fuss was about.
Well, what have we learned so far?
That God is a dick, and apparently some people believe in talking donkeys?
We're not trying to pass ourselves off as experts.
Nope, we're just reading the Bible for the first time and giving our first take reaction.
If you'd like to join us in this venture, you might consider starting at episode 1.
Otherwise, jump in wherever you like.
All right, let's go read the Bible.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Hey, wife.
Yes, husband.
Did you know that we are now on Patreon?
Yes, because you told me, but also, no, tell me more.
So we're on Patreon now.
Are we?
We are, and our supporters can go there and support us, and we have multiple levels all the way up to You Killed God.
That sounds really drastic and escalated quickly-ish.
Well, no, there's multiple levels before there, so it escalates on a sliding scale of, cheap to not cheap.
Oh.
But, we can definitely use any amount, so, any support is always appreciated.
So, what exactly is Patreon?
It's a place where you can show your support for our podcast. And
just our podcast?
Any podcast or any performer. But, we're the ones that, you're listening to right now. So maybe you should, support us. That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome. But we love you anyway.
So all you got to do is go to Patreon, look up Sacrilegious Discourse. It's actually patreon.com/Sacrilegious Discourse is our actual main page there. So head on over and send us some love.
Yeah. Okay, so this section that I'm drawing from is 2 Kings chapter 16.
Okay.
And the question was, why did Ahaz copy the altar he saw in Damascus?
Okay, yeah.
Remember he went there?
He
and
loved
was
that
like,
thing, yeah.
It is so cool. And so he gave his guy exact measurements and was like,
right,
hurry up, go home and make this shit.
Got to have me one.
Gotta have it.
Yeah.
This is the coolest altar I ever saw.
Right.
And then his builder guy had it all set up so that when Ahaz got back home, it was already there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason that it was a big deal that he did this, obviously, we kind of mentioned it at the time, it's obvious why it was not cool that he did it.
Right.
Because he's not a priest, he's not a prophet, and
right.
even as a king, as the anointed leader of the people, was still outside of his authority to change God's altar. Because remember,
right.
God gave very specific measurements, and this goes here and that goes there.
Well, and he's got this personal altar, too, that he's, confiscating, too.
Well, yeah, he took the main altar and was like, I don't want to get rid of this completely.
No,
I
he took it for himself.
It. Yeah, he, moved it, put that one in the corner. I'm still going to use it.
Right, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, what I had suggested at the time was he probably was doing this as a business deal, because remember, he had just got help from this guy.
Okay.
And instead of turning to God and saying, oh my goodness, please help us, he turned to him and was like, can you help us and I'll give you all this gold and whatever?
Sure.
And the guy was like, sure.
Right.
And then so Ahaz was like, awesome, thanks. And then went and visited him, and that's when he was like, whoa, your altar's so cool. And so I think that it was him, not really caring which gods he prayed to so much as just, saying, okay, since you helped us, I'm going to keep getting help from you. And so, yeah, the way you sacrifice God on your altar is so cool. I'm going to be just like you so that maybe you'll keep helping us.
Right.
But the historical likelihood of the Assyrians wanting to affect the cult of a vassal is remote, especially when that change does not also involve the worship of Assyrian deities. So he wasn't actually worshiping their gods. He was just emulating, going through the motions, and still doing his own god. Okay. But on their type of altar. Okay. Ahaz's innovation may be explained simply as an attempt to be current with the Aramaized Aramaic,
Yeah.
cultic way of doing things of the Assyrian Empire. So basically,
I want the cool new altar.
Yeah, he was like keeping up with the Joneses.
Right.
Like, he saw that his neighbors had those mums that are fall colored in the front yard and was like, oh, I need those in my front yard.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh my God, I just saw that everybody is buying those giant ass skeletons that are like 2 stories
right?
tall
Yeah.
for Halloween.
Those fuckers are everywhere.
Well, yeah, that's because 2 years ago they came out right during
COVID.
the first Halloween of COVID.
Right.
And there were people like fighting for them online because there were only a limited supply of them.
Right.
And with everybody in lockdown, it was the coolest thing ever to try to, you know, do up your yard awesome like, even though there was no trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
So everybody was like trying to get their hands on this thing, and it became this like social phenomenon, right?
Right.
And now you see them everywhere.
But they're fucking everywhere.
They're everywhere.
I don't know if this is just like Midwest or whatever, but like there's giant goddamn skeletons everywhere.
Everywhere. Well, it was funny because your mom today sent us pictures and was like, that's the coolest thing I ever saw.
Right.
And I'm like, oh.
Already seen those.
Well, I hadn't like seen them in person, but I had seen online that it was a thing.
Well, there's
So,
been one up the, like, just heading
there's-
out towards the other
There's
town.
one in
like-
Miamisburg, and then there's another one, I forget where.
well, there's
Close-
one heading out towards Gratis.
Oh, okay, and there's one near where your brother lives now, he said.
Right, right.
So, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that we're seeing them now because now you can get them.
Right.
But it's funny because, like, the seeing them in person came behind the everybody needs one and can't get one.
Didn't you tell me that there's, like, whole threads on what to do with them and all kinds of stuff?
Yeah,
And-
because after that Halloween passed, everybody was like, fuck me, how do I store this now? Like, what do you do with it?
And they're like, never mind, don't store it.
Yeah, so there was like a whole bunch of people that, like, there were all these TikToks and YouTube videos on, like, different ways to decorate it throughout the year. So that you could make it, like,
Right.
a seasonal skeleton man that, you know.
Yeah, no, I saw the one that's on the way out to Gratis is, that was, they decorated it for, like, 4th of July. It had, like,
Yeah.
Stars and Stripes and the whole
Yeah,
9 yards.
because
So.
what are you going to do with it?
Right.
You
Yeah.
can't put it away. But everybody had to have one, and now they do.
Yeah.
And that's what this altar was, is what I was reading.
I think we should get one and put it up on top of our roof of our,
Oh my
like, the
gosh.
lower, you know, the porch
The
roof.
lower portion, yeah.
And just, like, put it up there. I
That
think
would be so
I think that would be
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, and it would hide that big old wasp nest. We've got this giant wasp nest, but it's like old and it's not occupied. But
It's really hard to get to.
It scares away the other wasps.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like one of the reasons why we don't go take it down.
It's not a wasp nest, it's a hornet's nest.
Is it a hornet's nest?
Yes.
I can't tell. I don't know anything. Okay, but anyway, so as I was researching this whole why did Ahaz do that,
Yeah.
I came across this really interesting essay.
Okay.
Okay. And it's called Did Ahaz Do Wrong? And I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to read the paragraph that, like, made me laugh and offended me.
Okay.
Okay. This thing is by Victor M. Askew.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here is the paragraph.
Here's the paragraph.
Ready?
Yeah.
What is amazing, however, is that so many individuals today fail to see that much of what is done in the religious world today follows in the footsteps of Ahaz. The New Testament does not authorize instruments of music in Christian worship, but they have been brought in by most religious groups. The Word of God does not command us to have an assembly on Saturday night, but churches assemble anyway and partake of the Lord's Supper and give of their means. Women in positions of leadership over men in both the worship and organizational structure of the church are not authorized. Apparently, many have seen this practiced in Assyria. That's a in quotes kind of thing.
Okay.
And like Ahaz, they liked what they saw.
What? Okay, keep going. I'll come on in a second.
Yeah. Therefore, many churches have women usurping the authority over the man. Praise teams, children's church, hand clapping, raising hands in worship, dimming the lights, drawing pictures of Jesus, and a host of other things are also comparable to the altar of Ahaz.
Wait. This guy is saying that basically because he took something from another culture and incorporated it into God shit, that basically opened up the door to everybody taking things...
No, that's not what he's saying.
Okay.
That didn't open the door. He's saying, we're making fun of Ahaz for doing a bad, but we do it too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's saying, the having
so this
women
was tongue-in-cheek?
No.
Oh.
He's criticizing Christians for for allowing these things, because you're only supposed to obey God's exact rules, not add to them.
I struggle, having read the Bible thus far to where we're at, understanding exactly what God wants a lot of the time.
Right.
And honestly, his rules change depending on which book you're reading.
Yeah.
Especially between New Testament and Old Testament.
Sure.
I mean, yeah. So, I'm not really sure what...
Well, it doesn't say you're supposed to have a music band.
Right.
So you're not supposed to add to it and have a music band. Get music out of church right now.
We were just talking about this tonight, though. And people take whatever they feel like taking from the Bible and make it what they want it to be. So if there's certain things in the Old Testament that they want to not like, they take those things. And if there's other things that they like in the New Testament, they take those and make them. Like, God's this loving, wonderful person who forgives everybody. But, when it comes to the LGBTQIA plus community, fuck them. They're not okay. That's not okay. They're going to burn in hell.
They're choosing a devious, a life of deviant action.
And I'm going to judge them right now, here now. Because I'm a Christian and I can.
Yeah, goddammit.
Right.
Fuck those kids.
It's just so stupid.
Yeah, it is.
And that's not the only example. That's the one glaring, because, it's the one that, in my opinion, is one of the more detrimental ones to society that people actually believe and stand behind. I'm like, wait, you can't tell me that you love Jesus and then also tell me that you hate people.
Right.
That's not okay.
That's not the way it works.
That's not okay. I
know.
I think I have this rant like once every 2 weeks.
You do.
So
you do.
I'm gonna refrain somewhat here, but it pisses me off. That's all.
No, I am right there with you. But this particular thing was about A, keeping up with the Joneses, and B, the essay was, in keeping up with the Joneses, you're not only doing wrong, you're doing wrong by adding more to God's word than what you're supposed to do. So women are not supposed to have leadership roles.
Whatever.
Yeah. And there's not supposed to be singing and dancing in church. And I'm like, that's one of the better parts of it.
Did you guys see David? Fuck, man.
David was dancing ding-dong naked.
Right?
So get the fuck out of here. You don't even know your own fucking
rules. Don't tell me God doesn't like dancing. He likes watching naked dancers.
Yeah.
On top of that.
So that was the altar. I also read a little bit about the sea thing that I thought was interesting.
Right.
So you know how it was sitting up on
like
the
bulls?
oxen?
Yeah, oxen, that's right.
Yeah. So there was actually a reason for that, which I didn't realize. We didn't realize as we were reading it because it's not spelled out.
Okay.
But the oxen are representative of God's power and something about cleanliness and how it's lifted off the ground and it rests on God.
Cleanliness is next to godliness?
Something like that. So when Ahaz got rid of the oxen underneath the sea, he was also making a point about how the cleanliness was no longer as important. Like, going through all of the motions that you're supposed to, you know what I mean, to for all these rituals, how you're supposed to purify yourself, right?
The unclean versus the not, whatever.
Yeah. He was basically making a point of not following along with what you're supposed to be doing.
So he was saying this is dumb?
Basically. But he was not just removing parts. The reason that it's mentioned in the Bible specifically is not just he did this thing. It's he did this thing, and you're supposed to intrinsically understand that it was a bad thing he did because it impacted their rituals and their understanding of what they were like, the things that they were supposed to perform.
Got it.
So that's something that we missed because we don't give a fuck.
Well, I mean, it's not that we don't give a fuck. It's just that there's so much meaning that's been attributed to every little aspect of the Bible that it's nearly impossible to talk about each and everything, because we'd have to spend hours every week studying each and everything in the Bible.
Right.
And I'm sorry, but it's just not. I want to know what the Bible says. I want to know what it says, and I want to know, enough about it that I can speak intelligently about it.
Yeah.
Now, when if I find something out like this, it's fun to find out more.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go down every goddamn rabbit hole because we would never get out of it.
Right.
And I don't want to get stuck in rabbit holes the rest of the time and never get out of them.
Right.
I enjoy small rabbit holes. That's why we do these Q&As.
Absolutely.
And that's why we do the contradiction episodes, and that's why we go the book club, because we like learning more about what these things mean and what they are.
Yeah.
But you could go well beyond what we're doing and never stop.
And still not ever even come close.
Right.
Because
we could die before covering everything. Honestly.
Right.
There's just so much.
That particular thing, learning that, it wasn't just that he was, getting rid of stuff, which was bad.
Yeah.
It was also, there was meaning in it. There was more to it than that. That made me realize, oh my God, how much have we actually missed just because we didn't realize that there was more to the action than just the action.
Oh, I know we missed a lot, and that's where some person somewhere is going to hear our podcast and then do a rebuttal. They don't even know that this means that, and I'm like, well, you're right. I don't know that this means that, but now I do, and let's talk about that.
Moreover, I don't really feel like I've missed a lot by not knowing that.
Well, moreover, I can now take that thing that you just taught me about the Bible, and I can put it into a greater context because I've now read that portion of the Bible and understand it better now that you filled me in about that portion of it. Yeah. And I can say, well, since that means that, then let's re-examine this whole thing and say, okay, yes, and it gives you a leg to stand on.
Yeah.
I can stand there and I can go, well, okay, if you want to go, if that's what that means, then why this and why that? I can still have those conversations. We don't need to go down every single rabbit hole.
Right.
But I do like them.
Yeah.
It is fun.
Yeah, no, when I said we didn't notice it because we don't give a shit, I didn't mean that we don't give a shit about learning. I meant we didn't give a shit that he removed the items.
Yeah.
Because who cares? He moved it here, he moved it there, he, built this, he built that. It didn't have any emotional impact because I didn't understand the significance of the action. And let's be honest, we got the point without knowing the extra details. He wasn't doing what he was supposed to do. And even without knowing all the extra details of why it was bad, we understood that copying the altar from another land, we knew that was not okay. We didn't need to understand why necessarily.
Well, and just in case there is any confusion, if you follow us through this entire podcast and finish to the very end with us, we will not be issuing you a doctorate in religious studies.
No.
So just to be clear.
Hell no. You won't even come close to knowing stuff. You'll probably have lost IQ points.
Well,
honestly.
I don't know about that.
Maybe. I feel like
you'll know more about Ghostbusters.
Definitely.
There's that.
But I feel like from reading the Bible, I have gained IQ points in the history and the details that I've picked up.
Yeah.
The knowledge. But I also feel like I've lost IQ points in the religious ridiculousness.
Right.
And the
bad storytelling
and the nonsense. So I almost feel like I'm...
Don't forget the arguments that we get into online.
Oh my gosh.
Those definitely lose me some IQ points, I think.
Yeah, because you get, like, drawn in, and...
I usually have a very good response.
Your responses are great. That's not the point.
Right.
The point is that you're like, this guy said this, and so I told him blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, but why?
Because I like to...
But why do you care what that one idiot thinks?
I don't, but I don't want to let it stand as they're the authority on it either.
Well, that's fair.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
fair.
It's not that I care what that person says. I don't want to let them stand as the comment that is the authority about whatever they're posting that comment on.
Yeah, I can see that.
I will let it go. Like, I used to be worse. I used to go down the fucking thread, and I just comment on down and down and down and down. Mm-hmm. But now I'm more satisfied with leaving one really good comment and just letting it speak for itself, and they can just, blast me to the nth degree after that. But I've said my piece. People can see it, and they can make their own judgment about what that person said versus what I said.
I think we got our first hate subscriber today.
I know, right? Yeah, that's where
exciting.
It came from, because it was on YouTube, and what did they say? They said
new subscriber.
Right? Yeah.
And then he asked something about
what's keeping atheists from murdering and eating people.
And I was
and I'm like, what the fuck?
If you have to ask, the problem is with you, my good sir.
Oh my god,
that would have been my response.
Right? No,
yours
I mean
was
totally
much better. Like, you went on this whole, morals and values and blah blah.
Well, yeah.
Which yours was the better answer. Mine would have been like, I can't help you.
I mean, the sociological answer is that we have grown up as a society, right? And we have to find a way to better our own lives and better our community's lives. And part of that is just finding ways to get together, and that does not include murdering each other or eating each other.
See, now, what you also could have said is, how do you know I don't eat babies?
Well,
I mean, honestly, like... I've never straight out said that I don't eat babies.
That's true.
So, for the record,
I'm going to say it now. We don't eat babies.
And we don't condone that behavior either.
Right.
Don't kill your kids. Don't eat each other. I mean,
correct,
you can eat out each other, but don't eat each other. All right? Just don't.
I even said it to the person. I was like, I hate this question. It's such a stupid question.
Stupid. Like, what stops you from eating people? And is it only, like, a fear of God?
If this fucking book that that we're reading here, if this is the only thing keeping you from fucking murdering people and raping and killing them and eating them, then holy shit, stay the fuck away from me.
Yeah, you got bigger problems. You got bigger fish to fry. And I'm not your worst enemy here. Like, I promise you. I
don't even... Until I was out of high school, I didn't even really understand the whole concept of God.
Right.
Like, I didn't care. It was something I had to, like, kind of fake a little bit of knowledge about because I didn't want to be weird.
You cared that you were left out and that there was something else weird going on around you, but it was more the social thing than the religious
but
thing.
I didn't even understand. Like, I was so confused. What the fuck is this magical thing that doesn't do any magic?
Right.
And why is everybody so bent out of shape about it? And why does it affect so many... I didn't get it.
Right.
I still don't get it. I'm like, this is dumb.
It is dumb.
Why do these people fight over which fucking church to go to and who's more right than the other person? I don't give a fuck. Whatever.
Yeah.
I've never...
Lots of whatever.
Never needed God. Never.
Right.
And I don't understand this... I've never fought for the side of atheism before we started this podcast. Mm-hmm. So I never knew that these things got said to atheists.
Right, yeah.
Like, I've always just kind of kept it quiet that I was an atheist, But now that I'm like out there in the community, I'm like,
idea.
wow, people say some really fucked up shit.
I had no idea that Christians actually think that atheists eat babies.
Right? Like,
and I'm like, have you read your own book? Y'all are the ones eating babies.
Right.
My goodness.
Yeah, it's true.
Wow.
It just blows me away. Every time they open their mouths about something they think that we do and what we stand for, I'm like, you have no idea what it's like to be a human.
Right.
Like, none.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm going to say this, too. Like, there's a lot of people that we talk to that have come from religion into atheism. And I fully, fully respect that. Like, and even friends that we know that have done the same thing. And it's like, that's amazing, and it's a long journey, and I get that at some point you were like these other people saying these things. It just boggles my mind as a non-believer and lifelong non-believer how you get to that point ever.
Right.
And I know it's about indoctrination. I know it's about more than, whatever, but it's hard for me to understand. And I still struggle with people that say these things to me because I'm like, I don't get it.
Like, is that for
I'm like,
real?
are you for real? Like,
is that what
I
you
literally
really think?
Do you remember when we first got doing this and somebody would say one of these things to me and I would just like laugh thinking it was a joke.
Right.
Like, literally thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh wait, no, they're fucking serious.
They really.
I'm like, they really
you.
just said that shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's so. I'm out of words.
People are just weird and dumb.
They really are.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
But that was the Q&A for
yes,
today.
we're gonna wrap that up then.
We're gonna wrap that up.
All right. Well,
put a big fat bow on it. We will be back tomorrow with Sacrilegious Book Club and the weekly wrap up.
Yes, and then Monday we'll be back with the 21st episode type thing.
Yes, 2 Kings chapter 21.
Yeah, that one. All right, we'll see you guys.
Bye.
Hey, wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my god. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep, we have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegious discourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe. Leave an Apple review. Join us on Twitter. Support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.